And welcome to episode 24 of the Tuesday Talk IU Athletics podcast. Joined by Director of Athletic Communications Larry Dielman and Student Assistant Connor Kukowski. This is Sports Information Director Andy Alvarez bringing you results and news from this past week's action and previewing the week ahead in Immaculata Athletics. It's spring break for the Mighty Macs, but athletic events continue. Last week, men's volleyball, men's lacrosse each earned splits at 1-1. The women's lacrosse team played 3 times. Women's basketball concluded their season on Friday up at John Carroll University in University Heights, Ohio, in an NCAA tournament. Baseball and softball and tennis got underway in their respective spring break trips. Baseball and softball are in Myrtle Beach. Tennis is in Hilton Head, South Carolina. And flag football had a dominant first weekend in their first AEC tri-match of the season with wins over Marymount and Holy Family. So let's get started with looking back at the last week's results. Starting with women's basketball. Women's basketball fell in the first round of the NCAA tournament with a loss to number 21 SUNY New Paltz at John Carroll University. They lost 67-51. It was the final. Obviously, it was a much closer game than the previous appearances in the NCAA tournament, and they actually cut the lead to like 3 points in the third quarter, but just were unable to kind of get any closer. Carly Coleman ended up having a strong game with 22 points, 6 rebounds, 5 steals. Riley Cassidy had 10 points, was 2 for 4 from the downtown, collected 5 rebounds. You also had, I think, Serena Little had 8 points and Liv Etor had 7 points. So it was, a good competitive match for Immaculata this year. Unfortunately, they battled out in the first round, but it was a great way for Livy Etor and Riley Cassidy to complete the run, having won a pair of Atlantic East Conference championships with the 2 most successful seasons in the NCAA era of Immaculata women's basketball. Obviously, we always talk about the history of the great history of the Mighty Macs was back in the AIAW, Association for Intercollegiate Athletics for Women. And in 1982, the NCAA took over women's basketball, and Immaculata joined the NCAA in 1982. So we're talking about that era from 1982 forward. These are the best 2 seasons in Immaculata basketball history. And postseason awards were announced last Wednesday by the Atlantic East Conference. Immaculata swept the postseason awards with Carly Coleman being named the Atlantic East Conference Player of the Year and was also named the Atlantic East Conference Defensive Player of the Year, as well as being named to the All-Atlantic East Conference First Team. So an incredible sophomore season for Carly Coleman, now with 3 major awards: Rookie of the Year her freshman year, and then Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year in her sophomore season. And sure, there could be some more postseason awards coming her way. Abby Grillo, for the second consecutive year, Immaculata has the Rookie of the Year. As Abby Grillo was named the Atlantic East Conference Rookie of the Year and was also named to the All-Atlantic East Conference Second Team. So, obviously you're going to have Carly and Abby Grillo together for a couple more years. So that's a good tandem for Immaculata to really be starting with. And then senior Olivia Etor closes out her collegiate basketball career with being named to the All-Atlantic East Conference Second Team. And then the Immaculata coaching staff for the second consecutive year earned Coaching Staff of the Year award for the conference after, an incredible 16-0 conference run, counting both the regular season and the conference tournament. So that's a great run for Immaculata. Great way to close out an incredible season. When you finish 24-4, 16-0 in the conference. What's your guys' thoughts? I mean, that was a pretty dominant season. It was a lot of fun to work that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun this season with women's basketball. Every game brought excitement and a lot of energy, especially when we did the home games. The 2 championships we've done here now in the 2 years were awesome. There's no other way to sum it. I mean, this year's tournament was just pure domination over Marywood. And it was good to see them have a good battle, too, against SUNY New Paltz in the first round after they had a little difficulties the last 2 times they were in the tournament, but an incredible season for women's basketball overall.
Yeah, just a great season overall, honestly. You really couldn't do a whole lot better than what they've done the last couple of years. 46-8 overall the last 2 seasons, 24-0 in conference. And like Andy said, with the conference awards, just stealing them all from the entire conference. Carly Coleman, player and defensive player. Abby, Rookie of the Year. Riley Cassidy had the Elite Scholar. And Carly also was on the first team with the ones Andy said too. But yeah, just great production overall. The team was dominant in conference play and even had some great battles in non-conference play. When you get to the NCAA tournament, I know these last 2 seasons they bowed out in the first round, but these are hard teams. I mean, this is like the best of the best from everywhere in the country in Division III. So to face SUNY New Paltz was the best team we've faced this year. Widener was receiving votes at the time when we played them, and SUNY New Paltz being number 21. So they were the best team we've seen, and it was a great battle. But just what a way to go out for Olivia and Riley. And hopefully we can bounce back next year. Carly and Abby will be the cornerstones, and can't wait to see the schedule for next year.
We are going to switch gears now to flag football, who opened a very exciting 2026 campaign this weekend with their domination in their season opener with 2 conference wins over Marymount and Holy Family. They outscored their opponents by a combined 50-6. For the first game against Marymount, 12-6 was the final. This was the first ever Marymount loss in flag football since it became a conference sport. Devin Cosgrove threw for 2 touchdowns and 148 yards. Jacqueline Molanini caught a 58-yard touchdown bomb from Cosgrove. Taylor Egan led with 4 receptions. Frankie Brunkle had a team-high 9 solo tackles. Egan and Brucknell each picked off Marymount's quarterback, and Kalia Gaines got 2 sacks. That was a game that came down the wire a little bit, but the Mighty Macs were able to hold on with that big. Egan had that big block. It might have been an interception right there at the end for that at the goal line. I forget, but I'm pretty sure it was an interception. Talking about Holy Family, that was just pure domination. 38-0 was the final. Devin Cosgrove went 6 for 9, passing for 62 yards and a touchdown hat trick. Every Immaculata receiver, Eliana Satowski, Tara Lara, Jacqueline Molanini each had a touchdown catch. Molanini had 2 interceptions, with Kalia Gaines and Natalie Dodd each had 1. Game was called early in the fourth quarter. Frankie Brucknell, for her collegiate debut, was named the AAC Defensive Player of the Week. 14 solo tackles and a pick in 2 games, and Devin Cosgrove was named to the weekly honor roll. So up next, they got a little bit of a break, and then they will be on a tri-match at Centenary with Penn State Schuylkill on Tuesday, March 17th. Penn State Schuylkill diverse first at 3:45, followed by Centenary at 5:15. So a great start to the season for flag football, and that was fun to do on Saturday, especially that Marymount game.
Yeah, that was a real exciting day. From those of us that have worked all, flag football since we started with those championships a couple years ago, we've kind of been run off the field by Marymount every time we have faced them. So I was so happy for our team and to see them just really, take it to them in that battle. I mean, it was 6-0 going into the third quarter. We tied up at 6-6, goes into the fourth quarter. It's looking like we might have the word we never say at the press box, the O word that someone used in the press box. Actually, thank God for that drive. And, Devin Cosgrove finds Eliana Zitkowski in the end zone, put the Mighty Macs up on top. And then, to get that goal line defensive stand at the very end of that game to close that out was huge. And great win for our team. And then, obviously, just a roll from that into the next game. After you take the break for the middle game, you come back and you just get a fast start and never look back with Holy Family. So it's great to see. It's great to see all these, the hard work that the coaching staff has done, like Bill Coddington has done, of getting players in here. And now you have players that have played in high school that are really making a difference already in their first games. I mean, Devin Cosgrove, your new quarterback, Taylor Egan, Molanini, Brunkle, and and Gain. Then your experienced players, the Natalie Dodds, the Kalia Gaines, having big days too. So that's you're getting a good mix, and I think we're going to see good things as the season moves along. For the flag football team.
Yeah, we saw a lot of passion from that team, especially over that Marymount win. I mean, Natalie Dodd, who's been here from the beginning, was literally in tears of joy. She wanted to beat them so bad, and for the last 3 years, it's been a tough battle, but they finally got it done, and you could tell how happy she was.
Yeah, it was an awesome first weekend for flag football, and especially that Holy Family game as we were statting upstairs. And I feel like it was just pick, and then a couple minutes later, pick again. And there was just no let up from Coach Coddington's team. And what made it difficult in that second game, the Holy Family game, was just the weather. It was getting really like misty and foggy outside. And it was getting harder and harder to see some of these, like the players. And I think for the players too, probably was a little difficult to see the end zone or make safe plays. Like, obviously you don't want to injure anybody because you can't really see that well. And the game was called in the fourth quarter, but it was good that we got these 2 wins, 2 conference wins. All of our games this year are conference games, so every game is important as it always is, but definitely when it has that conference aspect to it, it's really important. So they get that week or so off before they head to Centenary to start another tri-match. All right, let's switch over to men's lacrosse. Men's lacrosse got the split last week with Delaware Valley and Misericordia. Both games were on the road. Against Del Val, it was a 16-7 final in favor of the Mighty Macs. Aaron Headley and Jude Azarano each netted 3 goals. Jason Smarin had 3 dimes. Carnell Lofton Jr. scooped up 10 ground balls and won 13 of 14 faceoffs, and then 9 caused turnovers defensively went to 9 different Mighty Macs. Really a team effort there. Matt Ludlow in goal made 4 saves in 30 minutes, and he did not allow a goal. It was 12-0 in the first half. Matt Ludlow only going the first half in goal, and then Coach Snoddy pulling him for the backup crew, obviously with the game pretty much secured by them. Going up to Misericordia, that was on Sunday, and it went the Cougars' way, 13-5. 5 different Mighty Macs scored a goal. Carnell Lofton Jr. won the opening faceoff. He picked up the ground ball and went right down and scored within the first 10 seconds, which you don't see a whole lot from your Fogo, but it's a cool play nonetheless. Carnell also scooped up 8 ground balls and went 12 of 19 on faceoffs, and then 5 different Mighty Macs got a caused turnover each. Jason Smarin, for his efforts, was named to the AAC Weekly Honor Roll. And up next, guys, an opponent that we have never seen before, and I don't think any of our teams have seen before, Aurora, who is from Illinois. They are coming here tomorrow, March 11th, for a 3 o'clock start. A team that Coach Snoddy was kind of excited to see on the schedule, and hopefully we can get that win.
Yeah, that was a solid week to start with. They really dominated that Delaware Valley game right from the start. And then, obviously Delaware Valley kind of crept their way back in after the starters were out of the game. But it was, a good win for them. That was at the time, their 4th win in a row. Unfortunately, Misericordia, that's a tough trip. That's a 2.5-hour trip on a Sunday with getting a spring break, and just a difficult game to play sometimes, and they just never really seem to get their footing in the game and everything. So hopefully they bounce back. Obviously, it's exciting to play a new opponent. We're excited to have them here at our stadium, see somebody different that we don't always see. Should be a good matchup, and looking forward to it on Wednesday.
Pure domination in the Delaware Valley game, so that was good to see. And you're also seeing a good mixture of athletes from all different classes starting to work together, especially the new guys, so that's good to see. I mean, yeah, but like you said, the Misericordia game, they're always a tough opponent that you go up against, especially on a Sunday we have to go out to. But it was good to see Carnell, who usually just takes the faceoffs for us, score that goal on the opening faceoff. That was fun to see. Aurora should be a good game. That's a school I never even heard of until I saw the schedule. I had to look it up where the heck that was, but looking forward to Wednesday nights.
Shifting over to baseball, the baseball team opened their Myrtle Beach slate on Saturday against Wittenberg, and they'll continue to trip through this coming Saturday. They fell to Wittenberg 5-1 in their opener. Alex Page pitched 7 innings, struck out 4 batters. Josh Goulburn was 3 for 4 with 3 singles and an RBI. Joey Mazzone was 1 for 3 with a single, a run, and hit by a pitch. In their second game, they fell to Penn College of Technology, 10-2. Was supposed to be a doubleheader, but rain forced them to play just 1 game. Ryan Nace and Jacob Cuzzi each scored a run for the Mighty Macs. Nace, Matt Passerini, and Logan Barn each had 2 hits. Stephen Devaney went 4 innings on the mound, struck out 2 batters. You got good relief stretches from Ryan Barrow and Aiden Jackson. 4 runs sixth by Penn College kind of decided that game. On Monday evening, they fell to Bridgewater State 8-7. Matt Passerini and Luke Hardnock each scored 2 runs. Hardnock, Danny Nacito, and Ryan Nace each had 2 hits. Nace knocked in 3 runs, so they had 3 RBIs. DeSarno went 3 in the 3rd on the hill, and for the start, struck out 2 batters. Bridgewater State got 6 runs in the 4th inning. Immaculata countered with 3 runs in the 6th, but Bridgewater State scored in the bottom of the 9th on a solo home run to walk it off for the win. They were off on Tuesday, the baseball team, but they'll be back in action late on Wednesday when they play Worcester Polytechnic Institute, WPI, Westminster, PA, in a kind of a doubleheader on Wednesday with 2 different opponents at 12 and 3:30, and then they'll continue on down there in Myrtle Beach until Saturday.
Some tough opponents overall. I mean, these are teams kind of like what we said with Aurora for men's lax, for baseball, and what we'll say for softball too. These aren't teams you see that often with these tournaments in Myrtle Beach, or sometimes baseball goes to the Rustmat tournament down in Florida. And yeah, these are just teams, they're from everywhere. Some of these schools, like Connor said, you might not have heard of them before. Andy and I have, just because of our experience in the field, but an array of schools from around the area are not. And I mean, some of these have been closer games. Wittenberg was a close one, and the Bridgewater State They were 1 out away from forcing a 10th inning, but, that home run just didn't go their way. And, you live to see another day. So they'll get WPI in Westminster on Wednesday for that combined doubleheader. And hopefully we can pick up a couple wins before they head back to our neck of the woods. And I know we're all looking forward to the baseball home opener, which we unfortunately had two cancellations last week. We were going to have that one against Swarthmore and Rhode Island College, and both of them got rained out with the snow and the rain. So hopefully that Kane game next Tuesday will be the official home opener.
Yeah, we need baseball back here at the baseball stadium. We got some warmer temperatures here now. Temperatures have been like almost near 80, so hopefully that's drying out the fields so that we can play some baseball. But another thing to think about, like they barely had any field time, so they're basically going after what they can get after. And yeah, they're going after some tough opponents right now, but they're hanging in there. I mean, the Bridgewater State game could have easily gone either way. Weird things happen in baseball sometimes. Like can't always control what a batter does, especially if it's solo home run. So but they still got a whole week of a lot of games to play and a lot of ground to make up.
Let's go over to men's volleyball. Men's volleyball got the 1-1 split last week by defeating Gallaudet and falling to John Jay. And they started off this week on Monday with a win over St. Elizabeth. Gallaudet came here on Tuesday, that was March 3rd. It was a 5-set, 3-2 final for the Mighty Macs. Josh McGurl led with 21 kills. Luke Dortenzo had a career-high 37 assists, and he added 3 aces. Noah Zunski had the double-double of 15 kills and 13 digs. Yes, there are double-doubles in volleyball, not just basketball. Gallaudet was up 2-1 in the match, but Immaculata stormed back in the 4th and the 5th by outscoring them 40-23. A great showing by Josh Elliott's squad. On Saturday, they had John Jay come here. They are a team from New York, and it's a team they had never seen before. The Bloodhounds got the 3-0 sweep. Noah Zunski had 7 kills. Luke Dortenzo, 17 dimes, and he and Anthony Fitch had 2 aces apiece. Christian Lee had 2 solo blocks. And then they got back in the win column this Monday, the 9th, against St. Elizabeth, and that was a sweep for the Mighty Macs. It got progressively better over the course of the match. The Eagles got pretty close in that first set, but by the third set, the Mighty Macs won 25-8. It was just apparent that we were looking like the better team that night. Noah Zunski had 8 kills. Luke Dortenzo with another 28 assists. JP Farrelly had 7 digs at the libero position, and they actually had a 13-1 run in that third set, which really kind of set the tone for the rest of that match. Early on, the Mighty Macs guys are 2-0 in United East Conference play in their brand new conference that they joined this year, and they're tied with Lancaster Bible in the early conference seeding. Both teams are still 2-0, and they'll look to extend that win streak on Saturday. They'll head up to Pratt. That's Saturday, March 14th at 1 o'clock for first serve. They've had some good results. That John Jay match was tough, but some good results overall, and we'll see what we can do against Pratt.
Definitely a good start in conference play for the volleyball team. And John Jay is a tough opponent. We haven't seen their men's team before. We've seen their women's team here a couple of years ago. So they're competitive in volleyball. But obviously you're taking care of business in the conference and the matches that you should do well in. And you're going to have some tough matches coming up. So we're looking forward to seeing how they handle it, and hopefully stay where they're at in the conference and try to compete for a playoff spot and get a chance at playing in the playoffs in their first year in the United East Conference.
Yeah, good start for the volleyball team in conference play. Wins over Gallaudet and St. Elizabeth. The St. Elizabeth game we did last night, it was weird. They got progressively better as they went on. The first one was like a little tight all the way, and then by the third set, it was just pure domination by us. I think at one point we were up 11-0 or 11-1, I want to say, something like that. But yeah, it's good to see that they're having success. And you got freshmen like Luke Dortenzo and Anthony Fitch who can really help serve up some aces. Let's switch gears now to women's lacrosse, who had a tough week. They went 0-2 with 2 tough teams, a trip to Widener, and then they had a home game versus Arcadia, which was their Morgan's Message game. Against Widener, 18-5 was the final. Elizabeth Mahmood led with 4 goals, and while Alea Piperito logged 1. Interesting from the Widener game, it was actually 8-5 at the halftime score. The score might be a little decisive if you're just looking at based off of overall. Mahmood and Oberg each collected 2 ground balls, and Mahmood had 2 cost turnovers. Morgan Barnes won 4 draw controls, and Abigail Gennari made 15 saves in 49 minutes in goal. An 8-0 Widener run in the third pretty much sealed the game. Versus Arcadia, 18-3 was the final. Alea Piperato, Izzy Thomas, and Alexa Marjak all scored a goal. Thomas and Vera Chaplin-Pez each assisted on the goal. A team high 5 ground balls went to Elizabeth Mahmood and Abigail Gennari. Mahmood and Riley Mullen each had 3 turnovers defensively. Mahmood won 9 draw controls, and Gennari made 11 saves. Arcadia began the game with a 7-0 in the first quarter, so it was definitely a tough team to go up against. And up next, they have 3 games this week. They'll have DeSales on Tuesday night at 5:30, followed by a home game. So they're on the back-to-back this week with a home game on Wednesday against Elizabethtown. And then I believe they're here Saturday at 1 o'clock against Goucher. They're continuing to verse these tough teams, but hopefully it helps them when they get to conference play. And now with basketball season ending, I think they're going to have Kira Benoit and Julia Paul have this week off, but they'll be starting training with them next week. So hopefully they'll be ready to go sometime next week for their games that they have.
Yeah, I mean, tough week for women's lacrosse. And you and I were at Widener. We got to see women's lax in action. I know Connor went down to see his sister play, and I was down there to get some pictures of the team and to see some of my old comrades over in Chester. So it was a good night overall. Tough one in the second half, but they competed in the first half, and Widener has always been a tough team. Elizabeth Mahmood showing that she's a true Division I transfer, that she's played against some of these tougher teams in collegiate women's lacrosse. But we're a young team. I think they're still kind of getting their feet wet. I think Kira Benoit and Julia Pohl will definitely be positive reinforcements once they join the team. Obviously, they need a little bit of a breather from basketball season going all the way to the NCAA tournament. And, hopefully we can bounce back this week. Tough one with a back-to-back, but hopefully we can get a win, especially at home.
Yeah, that was a tough week. And then Saturday, Arcadia was face guarding and really double, sometimes even triple teaming Elizabeth Mahmood. At one point, she fired like a rocket of a shot. Unfortunately, it caught the bar as opposed to going in the net. But there were some good signs you saw in that Widener game. And, you get some games that can be a little more competitive. And this week's going to be a little difficult games. But moving forward, I think they're going to get closer to conference play. I think these games will serve them well. Moving along to softball, the softball team has gotten started to play in Myrtle Beach these past couple of days, and so far they just fell in their game to Penn State Mont Alto, so they're currently 2-2 on the trip in Myrtle Beach. Their first game they fortunately fell to Keystone 10-1, 5 innings. Lone run came from Madison Formica, was able to score on wild pitch going to third, catcher threw it away. She was able to come home and score. Immaculata did get some walks in that game. Pearson took the loss as the starter and then inning and 2/3 on the mound. Tough second inning, but then Nadia Boya came on to kind of settle things out. And then their second game of the back-to-back doubleheader, Immaculata earned a 2-1 win. Emily Davis and Madison Formica each scored a run. Game was decided by Jamie Green with a 2-run RBI double in the third inning. She had 2 hits, and Nadia Boya went the full 7, complete game on the mound, allowing only 6 hits, 1 run, and the only was an earned run, but that was it in the game. She really held them. I think she recorded like 10 ground ball outs in that game, so it was a good, solid win. This morning, they won 3-2 in 8 innings, so they won extra innings against Bridgewater State. Madison Formica, Jamie Green, Natalie D'Onofrio each had a run. D'Onofrio and Carly Karcher each logged 2 hits apiece. And Sarah Pearson went 6 innings and pitched strong. And then they got 2 innings of solid relief, or a couple innings of solid relief from Aubrey Sider, who ended up getting the win. They won the game they had runners at second, third, nobody out. Alexis Andrada struck out, but the ball got away from the catcher, a pass ball, and that allowed D'Onofrio to come home and score with the game-winning run to walk it off for the Mighty Macs. And then, not sure to score, but from watching kind of the live stream, it looks like they fell to Penn State Mont Alto in their second game. So 2-2, they'll get a day off tomorrow, and then they'll be back at it with 2 games on Thursday. And then I think they have 2 on Friday as well, I believe. And then that will be the rest of their week in South Carolina before they come back north.
A good start overall. I mean, they had a tough first game against Keystone, but the New Jersey City game was great to see. And Jamie Green, who had 2 RBIs, her and her roommate Casey Pascal, I think her name is, have a lot of personality and already bring a lot of personality into the team that already has. So they're definitely enthusiastic, and that's what you need in a team like this. And good to see Alexa Pearson get her first win. And yeah, they had a good first game this morning, and I don't know what the score is of the game they're playing right now, but hopefully it's going well. And it's good to see everyone contributing.
It's good to see head coach Alexa Peterson getting her first collegiate win here at Immaculata as well, getting that over NJCU, and then Bridgewater State going the extra inning to get that win. So just a tough win from the Mighty Macs showing that grit early on. And we're seeing Jamie Green, one of the freshmen, really stepping up so far. So maybe it's a sign of things to come as we finish the Myrtle Beach portion and then when they come back home to continue their season there. And yes, as Andy said, they are off on Wednesday, and then Thursday they'll pick right back up where they left off against Albion and Vermont State Castleton, and then they'll finish off with Lycoming and Thiel on Friday. Stay tuned with GoMightyMax.com for all the updates and as we get these box scores figured out and recaps and whatnot. All right, finally, let's go to tennis. Men's and women's tennis are also with baseball and softball in South Carolina, except they are in Hilton Head. Men's and women's tennis each go in 3 matches. The men played Brevard and Franciscan, and the women Ohio Wesleyan and Franciscan. And then today, Tuesday, both teams are playing Penn State Behrend. TBD on those results. 5-0 for Brevard against our men's team. Mike DiMattei and Easton Ragnow fell 6-3 in doubles. Ryan Muckle fell 6-3, 6-2 in number 4 singles against Franciscan. 6-1 final. Tough doubles loss, 6-4 for Mike DiMattei and Easton Ragnow. And Easton picked up a solid number 1 singles win, 7-6, 7-5 in that first one, 0-6, and then 10-8 in the third set. For the women, Ohio Wesleyan, it was a 7-0 win for the Battling Bishops. Haley Elwell and Delaney Brown fell 6-2 in doubles. Sophia Carey went 6-4, 6-1 in number 3 singles. And then Franciscan, 6-1 final. Athena Criticson and Laura Farrow grabbed a doubles win, 7-5. And Sophia Carey really went the distance in a hard-fought singles loss, 6-3, 2-6, 10-8. Delaney Brown, 6-3, 6-4. So, guys, tennis doing pretty good against some of these teams we haven't really seen before, or not, at least not often, but trying to get some reps before they start against Marymount on the 21st.
You're going to face good teams on these trips and teams from down south or other places that play pretty serious levels of tennis and good schools. So not a bad start for them and looking forward to having them back on campus. I think now would be a good time to bring in our guest on the Tuesday Talk IU Athletics podcast. So we'll be back with flag football captain and field hockey forward Natalie Dodd when we return after this quick break on the Tuesday Talk IU Athletics podcast. Welcome back to the Tuesday Talk IU Athletics podcast. We are joined by our guest, flag football team captain and women's field hockey forward, Natalie Dodd. Welcome to the show, Natalie, and welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
How did you get into playing flag football back in high school?
So it got added to my school my junior year. I actually used to play lacrosse instead, but once it was added, I just took the chance to go out, try it with some of my other teammates. I always had like a passion for the game. Like growing up at recess, I would always play like 2-hand touch football. And then once I started going to the practices, I realized I loved it and that's what I wanted to keep doing.
So, Nat, what was it like to play with girls here that you played with our Archbishop Ryan too? Eliana, Frankie. I talked to Frankie about it in my interview with her after the Holy Family one. So, what's it like for you?
It's definitely really great and it really brings a great connection. So like me and Eliana, we played basketball together for a year and like so we already had like a little bit of team chemistry. And then playing with Frankie, I've been playing flag football with her for 4 years now. So we do have like a really strong connection. We've been playing both sides of the ball together for a couple of years. So her coming here, like we already kind of knew what each other is good at and being put next to each other on the field on like the defensive side, it really helps everything run like super smoothly and efficiently.
What was it like for you when you led the charge in starting flag football when it got added here at Immaculata in your freshman year? Obviously, coming in freshman year and the sport already being added, that must have been a great feeling for you.
Yeah, once I saw it was added, I was super excited because I knew it was something I totally wanted to do. Being able to kind of take charge with it was a really nice feeling. From having like a lot of experience, I knew that I could really help form it into something bigger than it was and help recruit a lot of different players. And that's exactly what we did. And we just made it like a really big deal out of it. And it was just really great. And to see where it is now from then, it's just a great feeling.
So after Marymount, you were literally in tears of joy. I went down the sideline. I said, "Why are you crying?" Because I think that's the first time I've seen you cry in maybe the 3 years I've known you. What was it like to beat Marymount? I could tell it meant a lot to you, and to like get that big win over them.
Yeah, it really meant so much to me after 3 years going back and forth with Marymount and finally being able to take the win over them. It was just such like a feeling like I don't know how to like describe. And going into the game, of course, it was like super like I hope we win, but like I know they're a good team. And then being able to be that team on top was great. And it was such like a competitive game and got really aggressive out there. So all that frustration kind of at the end, being able to let up and having a big stop at the end of the game that sealed the deal was just it was just such an unreal feeling.
I'm going to bring something up that what happened over in the summer. Remember at your Wildwood tournament and you lost that first game to that team. What was that team called?
I don't remember.
Well, you came up to me after that game and you said, and I said, it's just for fun. Don't worry about it. And you're like, no, I want to win. So like your mindset's always in the winning format, no matter what, right?
Yeah, no matter what, at the end of the day, I want to win. And I don't want to, I don't let down no matter what the score is until that game, that buzzer officially goes off and the game's over and we actually officially win.
Saturday was a great day here on opening day. The two-game sweep on Saturday, including, a dominant performance over Holy Family. You were on the defensive side of things for most of the time and even had a big interception. What do you think the most exciting thing or the biggest part of the day was the biggest part of the day on Saturday?
I mean, biggest part of the day by far probably had to be beating Marymount themselves, but with like the Holy Family game, it was really great. And that's coming from like my hometown and back in Northeast Philly. So playing against some old teammates, seeing old teammates on the sideline just really brought like a great vibe going on. And then being put back on defense, my original position that it felt really good to be back on like the side of the ball I know the best. And then getting that interception just felt great, being able to look and see like my old coaches in the stands. And it was funny, right before that play, Coach Bill was like, I want you to go out there. I want you to get an interception. I was like, okay, like I'll do it. And that's exactly what I went out and did. So it was just a really good feeling.
You were named a team captain this year. I believe you were one of four captains total. How does it feel to step into that leadership role like this with a team that's showing a lot of talent early on?
It definitely feels really great to be named a team captain this year. The last couple of years definitely was like building into like a leadership role on the team and working with like the three other captains I'm with. We all work really well together, bring the team up in a lot of different ways. We all have our own like specific traits that we really bring to the team. And being able to be a captain of a team with so much promise and so much talent is a great feeling because I can see just from the off season and seeing how much everyone has grown into the team and as personal players it's just like a nice feeling. And to know that I'm a part of building that up just feels really good.
So give us a day in the life of Natalie Dodd on game day. What is your pregame routine before games? Favorite song, meal? I think I already have an idea what your favorite song is, but give us to us.
Yeah, so my pregame consists mostly of music. A lot of times on game days, gets a little nervous, can't really eat that much. So I usually try to drink like a liquid IV. Really like the Rocket Pop ones, probably my favorite. So I go with that. And then my songs kind of consist of, I know, Connor, that you know, the Hey Baby, the remix version of it. Also, big one, my touchdown song. Everything is awesome. And I like that one because about being a part of a team. And then a couple other ones I throw in there that I've had since high school, some Kanye and Just the Way You Are has been my new one. So the music just really kind of sets my tone for everything. And that's like a big, I have to have that every day before each game.
I was just about to say, Just the Way You Are has been like all over your Instagram page. So that's like your new theme song.
Yeah, it's my song for this season at least.
Nice.
Forget just regular theme song. Hey Baby's like everybody's theme song for athletics. Basketball ran through it this entire season with every win they got, but
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna give some insight on that. So she's the one who actually told me to play after field hockey songs. So I kept that going throughout the whole season. It's like a good vibe song. So every time
You're welcome.
wins, so she gets all the credit there because she's the one who told me to do it. So kudos to Natalie Dodd.
touche. So finally, flag football is on the rise across the country in Division Three. It's even going to be a summer 2028 Olympic sport when the Olympics are played in Los Angeles. What is your message to get girls involved in this sport? It seems to be something, you've been good at getting people to do this since you started at Immaculata.
Yeah, seeing it being on such like a big rise, like super exciting. And we have so many recruits coming in next year, and like I can't wait to meet them all and see like what they all bring. And I definitely have like a lot of different messages. Recently, I've been asked to help with like clinics over at a park nearby school in Phoenixville. And it's kind of like the same vibe I try to bring there. And I kind of just like to remind them that flag football, everyone's starting new. It's such a new sport. And to just have confidence in yourself and go out there and just try your best. And even though it's going to be hard at first, don't let that stop you. Don't let that make you give up. Just keep going. And then something like, for me, my end result's been pretty good so far. So like they can have a promising future, something just like this themselves.
Well, you guys will be back on action on the 17th when you guys will play Penn State Schuylkill in Centenary up at Centenary in that tri-match. And then you'll be back home on the 21st for Chestnut Hill and Newman. Looking forward to having you guys back here at the stadium, and hopefully, being that a non-spring break related weekend, maybe we could get a pretty big crowd out there for you guys for that tri-match. And we thank you for coming in today and talking with us, Natalie. It's always great to talk with you. We wish you the team good luck in this upcoming games.
Thank you. Very happy to be back and can't wait for the rest of the season. Roll Max.
We'll be back after this quick break on the Tuesday Talk IU Athletics podcast. Thank you for coming back here to Tuesday Talk IU Athletics podcast for another show that will wrap it up for episode 24. We hope you will join us next week as we reach episode 25, another milestone for the Tuesday Talk IU Athletics podcast. And we hope you'll be here to join us. And we'll talk to you then. Roll Max.